Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Our discussion of The Leftovers, Season 2, Episode 3, Off Ramp. And this was certainly, obviously, because we had no Texas, we had no Jordan time. This was the episode most like Season 1.
Yeah.
But obviously, because things are different, we know it's different. But I was anxious throughout, really uncomfortable throughout the episode, which I guess is good television. But it was difficult to watch.
Well, we knew from last week, I forget who was prescient enough to point it out, but somebody said, I bet next episode is going to be all about what's happening with, Lori and Tom, because of the first 3 episodes have been about sort of the different angles of this story.
Right, and we know she's still on the show. So.
Exactly. Right. It was like, oh God, what is happening with Lori and Tom? Like if they aren't leaving and, given their histories of cults and whatnot, like where are they? And boy, do we find out.
They reversed expectation to me on her leaping on the publisher because I thought in her head, fantasy, she's not actually doing it. I'm like, I've seen this so many times. Okay, right? She's still sitting in her seat. Oh no, she did. She's yeah.
Like an episode of what show did that all the time?
Ally McBeal.
There you go.
Yeah.
I felt the same. I felt a tension and an awkwardness throughout, but it was the tension that I want to get back to Texas.
Oh, right.
This was a reminder for me of what I didn't find that compelling about the first season. The Guilty Remnant, I don't think actually makes sense. I don't think that people would actually respond that way. And so to spend so much time...
Which way? People would respond to them, or that the Guilty Remnants would...
No, that people would join it the way it is. I totally get people joining cults or wanting their life to be figured out for them. But the particular rituals that they go through... I don't see people sticking with that for years.
I think it's interesting that you said, because when I saw the previously on The Leftovers, I thought, oh God, we're gonna get a bunch of Guilty Remnants this episode. I hate the Guilty Remnants. No more of them. But then I thought the episode was, in much the way I think last week I pointed out that there was an aspect of the show that feels like they're acknowledging the viewers' take on The Leftovers. This felt like the episode where they're like, yeah, we know you don't like the Guilty Remnants, so we're gonna give you somebody who really tries to get out, tries to get people away from them, and then then you won't have to deal with them anymore.
Right.
And I actually
love the Guilty Remnants. I think they're great villains. I think.
Well, no, they made him more like villainous this episode. And I did actually like that about it.
But no, even last season there's something about people who don't talk and wear white that we've never seen made that creepy before. Because usually when you think of bad guys,
for one episode, over a whole season,
that's true.
You're bored by them after all.
But I don't know. I find them. It's one thing when you've got somebody who's like really clever and saying these things, and there's kind of a back and forth. But when you're just not getting anything back, that's even scarier. Yeah. That's nightmare fuel for me. And so I don't know. I've always found them really kind of creepy and interesting. And obviously, Patty's not going anywhere, so that's going to be an ongoing thing.
This episode did have the best single scene or the best shot of the Guilty Remnant. Watching her run down those two in the street, that almost made it worthwhile to me.
It was very satisfying as somebody who doesn't like the Guilty Remnants.
Exactly, yeah.
You knew
I played it 4 or 5 times.
That's like Virginia hitting the woman with a box at the Masters of Sex season finale.
That was satisfying. But what I think Robert's right, because their evility was cranked up here, because when it's Patty, like Patty isn't evil, I don't think, right? That there's something.
She thinks she's doing the right thing.
She thinks she's doing the right thing. Here, the ambiguity was completely removed. That they're the bad guys.
Well, someone's funding them. Someone is.
Yes, that's true.
Someone is keeping them around. Like they have connections. And it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds.
The funding, it could be that's what we assumed, but it could be a Scientologist sort of thing, that they bring people in, and not everybody just walks away from their families. Maybe they give everything they have to it.
Could be.
Look, and I just thought if this is a show that's about responses to tragedy and how people deal with it, they did come up with 2 clever things. One, like the idea that somebody goes in and tries to get him out by pretending to be a guilty remnant, the son doing that,
which is probably a cult. Yeah.
And then the ending, which I thought was very effective, and that is like, well, basically Amy Brennan was like, okay, let's just give them what they want, a myth origin story.
Yeah, I was reminded of Book of Mormon. Yes. It's like religion, if nothing else, serves the purpose of making people do the right thing, even if it's for the wrong reason.
Right. Yeah.
The musical Book of Mormon, not the actual Book of Mormon, which is a whole other subject.
Are you trying to tell us something? What's underneath here?
Yeah, I was. That was powerful. That was that made up story was
absolutely
was powerful, because then, of course, like all good made up stories, it was
plausible.
63. And
Wait, was it
63%
100% made up?
No, 63% of it is true.
Exactly,
The
that's the
baby,
whole
Do we
point is
think that he actually?
No, Wayne
because he
did-
did hug him.
but Wayne didn't show up there. We know that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
know
that's
where
true.
Wayne was.
That's true.
That part.
Right.
I blocked out
there was
most
no
of season 1.
There was no transfer of
I did
Wayne's
Although
gift.
we don't know how Wayne got it. Maybe this act of faith or an assertion that you can do it, maybe that is how you do it.
Maybe that's entirely true. We'll see whether these people feel better.
I don't know if he can cure people, but I know that he can sell the creepiness of just standing like
standing
this
there,
and
who
smiling
wants a
at
hug?
people.
Yeah.
That was pretty creepy.
Well, Chris Zilka, and we got Chris Zilka naked in this episode.
That's
which
true, yeah.
Pro
We saw-
that.
we saw his
Although,
guilty remnants.
I have to say, I was when we got the rape warning at the beginning of the episode.
I didn't notice
not
that.
how I was expecting
Oh,
it to
I
play
didn't.
out.
There was
Yeah.
a there was.
There was
I
a
didn't- I
there's a
didn't see
separate
that.
line on your TVMA. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
yeah.
I guess that's the new. That's the new world.
Yeah.
Well, it's been one for a while actually.
Has it really?
For cable stuff? Yeah, there's a warning about that.
Huh, I've not noticed.
So yeah, there's that about it. So I was like, ugh, what's that going to be? And I was like, oh, okay, wow, all right.
Yeah.
Which was the part of the episode that I just thought was like, okay, it was just, it
didn't make much
It
sense.
didn't make sense.
Well,
Well,
it
yeah,
made-
I was saying like if you what in the guilty remnant philosophy would involve bringing
I
forth
don't
another generation
I-
when they're all living like we're about to die or we've all already died anyway.
Right, because
Yeah.
but Liv Tyler is she's got that's probably not in the credo. That's her own thing. She's a cult leader, so she's abusing power because that's what cult leaders do.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe Patty was sort of a true believer who really wanted this thing to work, but now maybe she's just co-opting. I mean, the fact that she's the leader after being perhaps the newest member they had,
well, they're all
but
pretty.
she's
new.
talking and
It's only been a couple of years.
it's
They're
only
all-
been a couple of years, but she was. I mean, she
Yeah, yeah,
came
fairly
in
recent,
like,
yeah.
Right, but she was under Patty's wing, so yeah, right, whatever. However,
Now she's just doing it to hook up with cute
Confirm
guys.
for me though, if you're afraid for your life, even naked Liv Tyler, you're not going to get a boner for that.
Yeah, I don't think
right?
he would have gotten a boner.
Okay,
She didn't work at it or anything.
I
it
can't.
just-
I
yeah,
can't
that's what I'm
guarantee.
saying,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
You could.
Okay.
Never know.
She's a pretty lady.
Yeah.
She was smoking, I think, at the exact same time. Anyway.
But I thought it made sense if what they were going to do, if they were actually going to light him on fire afterwards, like
Yeah.
somehow that was just part of torture, you know.
Well, it reminded me of the scene from Game of Thrones with Theon, where they had the beautiful women sleep with him very briefly before,
Right.
because they needed that to happen. They
Right.
decided not to go in that way, but I was very uncomfortable
But-
during it.
Well, she wanted him to send that message, because they know that Lori is now a deprogrammer or whatever. So
But what I sort of agree with John with, I think, is that I don't like Tom. Like I don't like Tom. That's as clear as I can be. Like so therefore his speech afterwards to Lori, they're offering something. No, what? Like what is being offered by them? What they're not happy. They're not peaceful. They're not enjoying. Like there wasn't joy there. There wasn't pain elimination there.
Well, no, what they're saying it's why people. It's why there's always it's either therapy or religion. I mean, the therapy clearly in their mind wasn't working, so let's just go with full on.
yeah,
religion.
these are people who have survivor's guilt for whatever reason, and they are now encompassed in a thing that's all about guilt. It's in the name,
Right.
and the first thing that everybody gets told is your pain is meaningless.
They don't want to hear. In
They're not going
therapy
to fix
that-
your pain. They're just going to tell you that it doesn't matter and nothing matters.
Well, I guess I'm unclear. Well, I guess that's part of the idea is that the publisher was unclear too. I hate to ally myself with the publisher. It was not supposed to be thought of well, but some of
No,
those
those
questions.
are valid questions.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
they were for the most part. I mean, his manner wasn't always great, but he was
Yeah.
asking valid questions like you would ask of anybody writing a book about
Yeah.
your experiences. But no, it just seems like I think that what the problem was that, as evidenced by the woman who kills herself and her family, is that being told that the solution's inside you and that you can do it clearly wasn't working for these people. They want an external thing that they can believe in to get them out of their feelings.
And whereas the emotional scene with Tom didn't work, that scene I thought was really great. Like seeing her and the way we sort of get this ominous sense that you knew. I was hoping that all
the shot was out of focus when she's
Yes.
getting ready for the
Yeah.
beach and the husband's on the phone.
Yeah, and just
that
her,
was
Right.
that was
her way of
really
hearing him
disturbing.
complain about whether it was work or probably their kid didn't matter.
You couldn't really even hear it.
The fish, all the stuff, like the regular mundane parts of the day, she couldn't handle.
Well, Carl Franklin's a great director, and he
Yeah,
directed this
that was
episode.
really, yes, it was really well directed and really well conceived, and just dreadful. I mean, just all of it. And then the reveal of it was good, of Lori on the phone. And just her doing the right thing and saying I can't be here, and then the guy. It was just a very human.
And stealing back the laptop was a great scene too.
Stealing back the laptop was
and I just, as an emotional anchor, Amy Brenneman's performance was great.
Yes,
I mean,
she's a terrific.
So she helped kind of like make up for the fact that she was stuck being a guilty remnant for most of last year, which.
Yeah,
I
like the landlord.
Like
by
if
the
there's
way.
a season 2, you get dialogue.
Yes, I know. Yeah, clearly.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying I like the landlord, the creepy, sleazy.
totally.
He was just being a regular person. He doesn't care about this cult stuff. He just wants his money. He wants his laptop.
Those bagels.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
I remember
petty.
watching that going, who can do that?
Who can take that? Yeah.
I know,
That somebody's bad.
And when he's not giving her the laptop back, I was like, I gave you a bagel.
right.
This is how you're gonna treat me.
Yeah, it was. So that was good. I hope we're done with the guilty. I hope
We are not done with
We're
the guilty
probably not.
remnants.
We're probably
No.
No.
Unfortunately.
But-
No.
They didn't book Liv Tyler for
But I mean,
Exactly.
2 minutes of rape and out.
But to Robert's point, like, yeah, okay, we don't have to be done with them. I like that we've cast them as the villain. Like now it's clear, and I didn't see it as clear in season 1.
Oh, come on! They're like the way they're just ghoulishly haunting people by standing around and trying to break their
Well, they're
spirits.
putting them in the houses.
The whole thing where they buy the doubles of the people who got disappeared and put them in the houses.
But
I mean,
they were more
they've
like-
always been villains.
They were more like irritants.
That's
like,
right.
Like,
That's right.
like arty irritants. And now
like
they
Burning
are
Man
like,
people.
Yeah. And now they're like and what they did this season was they've set up characters and new characters that you're interested in a new town, so that when they bring back the remnants, it's not as
Right, it's not-
annoying.
Right,
Yeah.
I got it.
Well, we
'Cause we're not just stuck
know
with
that
that.
we know that Atfek is after them, so there's that.
Yeah.
What's that?
Remember the ATF extortions
Oh
and
yeah,
cults?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
We
right.
also had another reference to Australia.
Yes,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
going
the
to point
third,
that out.
The third Australian
The guy
reference.
who
So we're-
came back or something,
Yeah, in
passed
the
through,
cave.
and now he
That's-
can't die.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like one or two references. I was like, okay, because you caught that last. I was like,
I
yeah,
had
okay,
so
that's
much
the
to
thing.
watch so late that I committed myself to not rewinding. So I couldn't quite tell what they were talking about, but I'm like, it's okay, it's Australia. I'm just gonna, I'll figure it out later.
That's the closed captioning helps a great deal, especially for background things.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, I had the closed captioning on, but I still missed it.
Put down
Not a
your
great
put down your
reader. Not a great
iPad and stop looking up scores.
Well, I hope I'm sure we'll be back in Texas next week. We clearly are. We got to find out, what happened in the
Where'd that
earthquake.
lake go?
What did Carrie Coon wake up to? All that. All
Where's
that
the
good stuff.
daughter?
Yeah.
Where's
Yeah.
the daughter?
Why were they naked in the
have
woods?
They vanished, or is something other
Right.
lost Ian happened to them? Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. See you next week.